In this video, I'm just going to show you how I prepared this Japanese chisel, which I purchased recently, for first use. We're going to flatten the back and then polish the bevel, and then I will show you how sharp it is once I've done that.
This test will show how sharp the blade is out of the box. I'm using radiata pine, which is very soft, and the crushed fibres show that the chisel is tearing, not slicing the timber.
In order to prepare the chisel, there's a few things that I need. I've got my sharpening station here. This is a 1000 grit Shapton stone, and this is an 8000 grit Shapton stone. Once I've polished the back and the bevel, I'll then use my strop. But one thing I have forgotten is some water, so bear with me for a second. This bottle of water contains a little bit of dishwashing liquid just to lubricate things a bit better and reduce the surface tension of the water. So first thing I'm going to do is just lubricate the 1000 grit stone, and I'm going to flatten the back by using a side-to-side motion. Now it does take longer than that, and one of the things I did forget to do, because some days I'm a peanut, is I need to colour in the back so that as I'm taking off the steel, I know when to stop, because the whole back will be flat and there'll be no black marks on it. So I continue using that method on the 1000 grit stone until all the black ink has been taken off. Just go back and forth, like so, periodically checking. We've cleared up a fair bit down here, but there's some black where we're still not flat. So let's keep going. Now do it this way because on some chisels, you tend to roll the chisel and you don't get a flat back. I recently bought a 6mm dovetail chisel and had exactly that problem when I did it lengthways. So I find it easier just to do it this way. Okay, so we're still, as you can see, haven't got rid of it all. I'm using as much of the stone as I can to get a nice flat back. We're getting there, but we're not there yet. And periodically, I will come back to the flattening stone in the middle, take out the Shapton stone, just quickly give it a flatten, and then pop it back in the holder. And continue on. You want to make sure you keep the stones flat as possible, especially when you're doing the back, because then you know you're going to get a nice flat back of your chisel. And you do this for as long as it takes to get a nice flat back, because you only have to do this once. Don't want to push too hard, you just want to let the stone do the cutting. Yeah, you can see we've got a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit flat spot, funny spot at the front. And I think what was happening is, as I was coming up here, you can see where I've taken a little bit off here, it was raising the tip. So I'm just going to not quite go so far. That's one of the things you need to just keep an eye on with the Japanese chisels, in my experience at least. Now I'm using the whole stone, so you should be keeping it fairly flat just by using it the way I'm using it. Depending on how badly out of flat your chisel was to start with, you could be at this for some time. Or if you get premium chisels, you might find that you don't have to touch up the back very much at all to get it flat. Now I do find that this can dry my hands out, so sometimes I will do this with a pair of rubber gloves on, some nitrile gloves that I buy from Woolies, I think. Now we're going to switch over, do the same thing, just on the 8000. So bearing in mind, we only have to do this once. Once we get the back polished and flat, then we don't have to touch it again unless you damage the chisel. So it's worthwhile doing this properly and being patient. Nice polish on that side. Let's try some side-to-side action. Nice, getting a nice polish. Still need more work though. Now this polishing bit can take quite some time if you screw up the flatness on the other stone, especially if you don't spot it. I think that might have been what happened, because the bit I was worried about before is still the one that's playing up for me. So perhaps it wasn't as flat as I thought it was, but we've almost got it now. Let the stone do the work. It's got this one little bit in the same spot as before. But a little bit further back from the tip, which is good because at least the tip's going to be flat. Now I'll just re-flatten so we can hone a bevel on the front. Now when it comes to sharpening the bevel, I'm trying to use Rob Cosman's 30 seconds for flat method. Basically what he does is he puts the bevel down flat and then just raises it just a fraction. So let's try that. Now I'm still learning how to do it, so I haven't quite got this process right, and I'm not sure I've got my wrist locked enough. I want to get a burr the whole way across. You can circle. In fact, that's what sort of Rob does. He's obviously got more practice at that than I do. What we're looking for is a burr the whole length, which is what I've now got. Take the burr off on the fine stone and then repeat on the fine stone. It should give me a nice sharp edge. Bring it over to my strop. I'll strop the back. And that should do it.
Testing the chisel again on the radiator pine leaves no crushed fibres. And it works well on Jarrah too. The chisel is very sharp.
So you can see it's fairly straightforward to take a new chisel and prepare it for use. You need to do the back once. Once that's done, then you're able to keep going and keep sharpening it from then on. With this particular chisel, I have just left the bevel flat. Once I get to a point where I've used it enough and have created too much of a bevel on the front, I'll just hollow grind that and then start again.
Well, I hope you found that interesting. If you like this kind of content, please like the video and subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with my videos. You will also share them with other people as well. Check out the playlist over here for more interesting videos. If you'd like to support me financially, you can do so in a couple of ways. You could buy me a cup of coffee, you could become a patron through Patreon, or you can use PayPal me. I have provided links in the description below. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day.